BoxBox Hub is an absolute essential for any Formula One fan, and the entire app with new widgets, statistics, localized race schedules, and countdowns, you name it. They even have support for Apple's new live activities feature with real-time updates during a race right on the lock screen, and honestly, some of the best looking widgets I've seen.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are back for silver. We are here in Bahrain. Happy Bahrain to you. Happy Monday to the viewers as well. Then welcome along then to the deserts of Sakir. We have got, of course, in line with the original, or the actual F1 calendar, we have got the lovely Bahrain Grand Prix coming up for you here tonight then in silver. Season 7, round 8 then. Good luck from Kaz as well. Kaz, I think, is reserving in the Williams tonight then. He has jumped in there as well. Good stuff indeed. Good luck to all the drivers and good luck to everyone in the qualifying. 15 minutes, well 16 minutes left of qualifying here. And we will get ourselves underway then with Dylan, I think, who is just about to get himself through into Sector 3 now as we get ourselves started. And of course, it was a fantastic Bahrain Grand Prix in silver last season. Then it was, well, by, I think it was 15 thousandths of a second. And Dylan, this man here, won the first race of silver last season, that is. Can he repeat the feat then and take another win here in Bahrain for his silver career? Then good stuff indeed. Off he goes then down the main straight. Then DRS is enabled. Of course, there is 3 DRS zones around this circuit then, but 2 detection zones. 3 detection zones as well, actually. Sorry, I got that wrong. So see how much I've been racing around Bahrain and remembering what's going on around this circuit. And it's been a long Monday already for me. I've just started my new job, so I'm very happy indeed. Round turn 4, then here comes the McLaren car into the sector 2 line as well. Then up to the line then at 28.9. Then for Dylan in the first sector. Then the first man, of course, to set a time in the session so far, or will be the first driver to set a session time, that is, as we get ourselves around this circuit and very quickly indeed. Then good luck from Vintage as well. Then good luck to Silver. Evening from Rocket Lizo and Ola from Gordo as well. Then Gordo then is very much a linguist indeed, but I'm not quite sure he knows what the Bahrainian is for hello, but goodness knows how to pronounce all sorts of languages. To be fair, I think Spanish is a bit too far for me anyway. So there we go then into sector 3. Then purple for Dylan, of course. Then into sector 3 we go. Then down into basically just one corner then, although it's technically turns 14 and 15, these last couple of corners, as we reach the climax, the end of the lap then for the first outing here in qualifying then for the McLaren. And up to the line, let's see what Dylan can do. Can he set the pace early on then as he comes across the line to set a 28.9 there? Good stuff indeed. Gino crossing the line in behind, then 29.7, then quite far off then between himself and the McLaren. Craig R then with a 29.6, then into P2, then in the Ferrari. Good stuff indeed. Kamara Racer though 29.3, the times tumbling in here in the first outing of the session. What can Max do then up to the line? Can he beat Dylan? Can he beat Dylan? He can with a 28.7. That's fantastic stuff indeed there from the Ferrari driver. Of course, he's been competing for the wins, competing for the pole positions so far this season, and Dylan has his work cut out then to try and get himself back up into the top spot. Then both the Ferraris looking strong here. Mr. Elite there sets a 30.0, then just getting himself underway. Then Sweet MGP then with a 29.2, and that is good stuff indeed. Both the Aston Martins there lying astern. Then P6 and P7 with R2 beat. They've been demoted down the order though by Vessia, who's put himself up into P5 I should say. Then both the Alfa Romeos looking strong as well then in the opening stages. Mumford there setting himself underway. Ultimate Beast coming down the back straight. Here comes Pot Stuff up to line up. What can Pot Stuff do? Can he get himself on pole position? Not quite. Then it's 29.1 then from the Alpine. Up comes Ultimate Beast then. I think it's his teammate Joseph then just starting a lap. Then Joseph, of course, reserving in place of Irvine, who unfortunately I think is watching the football or something like that. He can't make it. But there we go. Then up to the line then for Ultimate Beast at 29.0. Puts himself P3. Beast has had some fantastic qualifyings in the early stages then of this season, that is. I say early stages. We're into round 8 already. Then we're flying through, and we might have some calendar changes coming as well then, because of course the new game, if you haven't heard already, the new game is going to be released at the end of May, so we're going to have a few changes then to get the calendar sorted before the new game comes out. Of course, Fanjo is underway then. He is reserving in place of Dopey Lemons, I believe, then tonight then, so he is in the Williams car. Both Williams unfortunately not here tonight then, so both Irish New Potato and Dopey Lemons are taking a break then from the Bahrain Grand Prix after maybe having a bit too much fun then on the Saturday. Of course, it wasn't too much of a great race, to be fair. It was pretty dull, I would have to say. Almost sent me to sleep, but I managed to soldier on and keep myself awake. I'm sure I'm going to keep myself awake through this one, as it's going to be even better than the real thing, I think, as Gordo unfortunately has invalidated his lap. Then he is coming back round then to the pit lane, as we've got a Not sure what was going on there. I think it was a Red Bull trying to get out of the way of Joseph then, as down the back straight we go. Then Joseph, of course, coming back. I think Joseph actually is on a lap, isn't he? Let's have a look and see what the Red Bull driver can do then through into turn 14 over the curbs. Then that's going to unsettle the car then. Might have cost him a bit of time as well. Then up to the line. Let's see what Joseph can do then. It's going to be a 30.4 then, sets the slowest time so far on the board then, but can go again. He's got plenty of time here in this qualifying session. Here comes Fanjo, purple in sector 2. That's looking formidable stuff indeed then for the Williams driver, reserving tonight like I said, but still looking to get himself some big points then for the team as he comes across to turn 14 and 15 as well. Then again taking a bit of curb then on the entry, that could unsettle the car a little bit, and of course lose a bit of time, I suppose you could say. Not too much time though for Fanjo. Then up into P3. It's an all-Irish top 3 as it stands then. Fanjo, Dylan and Mags then taking the top spots in the first round of the qualifying laps, that is. There's still time on the board then, time on the board for drivers to get themselves out of the pit lane, to get themselves into the fight, I should say, for that pole position. Then here we go then for Gordo, coming through into turn 10 then. Very difficult turn 10. We've seen a lot of lockups then in the real F1. We've seen a lot of lockups in gold as well. Then there's Gordo then getting a bit squirrely on the curbs then, and I think that's his time done and dusted, and unfortunately not going to be able to set a well, unless he wants to set a banker lap time so he can set himself something to target in his next outing there. But unfortunately for Gordo, that is not enough. Then he's abandoned his lap time, I think, and pulled off to the side then to get out of the way then of Joseph, who is still it looks like he's still going for a bit of a race run around here, but unfortunately there, I think it's going to run out of fuel at some point. So we'll come back to him. Kaz is on track as well. Then we'll have a look and see what Kaz can do. I think he's just getting out of the way of some more cars. Nigel, the championship contender, then had a bit of a difficult race last week, and of course has had struggles in qualifying. We've seen before then in the beginning of this season, that is. But usually a strong candidate for sure. Then let's see what he can do here tonight, as we've got a bit more action coming out on track. We'll come back to that because Gordo there is going to cross the line then to set a time. He's done a 44.0. Then not competitive, unfortunately, for Gordo as it stands there. But let's see what he can do then in the latter part of the qualifying. Of course, 9 minutes left here in Bahrain, as Vintage has gifted a sub. Then Potstuff has claimed that sub there. Fantastic stuff indeed. Thank you very much for Vintage, who has been an absolute star with the gifted memberships as well. Then fantastic stuff indeed. Then, and thank you very much to Vintage and to Potstuff, of course, for joining us as well. Smithy said, "Let's go silver." Gordo, I think it said Merhaba. I'm not quite sure what that means. Is that Arabic or Turkish? I don't know, but it's Arabic they speak, says Gordo there. So he's a lot more familiar with the lingo than I am, because I'm just going to leave it at that there. So merhaba to everybody. That I think means welcome. It probably could mean something completely different, and to be honest, he could have just put any word there and I would have said it, to be honest. So there we go. But I'm very sorry if I've offended anybody, especially with my pronunciations, but that is that then, and I will try not to speak any more Arabic then for the rest of the stream. But there we go then. Gordo then coming through into sector 3. Let's see what the driver can do this time. He's 5 seconds up, I should say, on his previous time. That would put him in the range then of a 39, sorry, but that still wouldn't be good enough then. So let's see what he can do. Can he improve even more through sector 3? And maybe he can. I think there's a lot of time to be gained then for the Mercedes driver as we go round turn 15 now up to the line. Let's see what he can do. He's getting a nice little tow there, or giving a nice little tow, I should say, then up to P12, a 29.8 there. Great stuff indeed from Gordo. Nice little tow then to a Ferrari. I think that might be Mags then, who is not going to need a tow, I don't think, at this stage of quali, but oh, he just got out of the way then as Gordo. I'm not quite sure where he's off to now, but fingers crossed he can get himself back on the circuit safely. Here comes Nigel, then championship contender, like I was saying. Then here comes car number 36, then around into sector 3. Dylan sets the fastest lap of the race, then lap of the quali. I'm already ahead of myself as we get ourselves down the back straight then for Nigel. Then Dylan then is into pole position with a 28.643. That is a tenth or so ahead of Mags as it stands. But Mags, we just saw, get a nice little tow down the main straight. I think by accident from Gordo. He didn't want to get out. He did get out of the way in the end. Then up to P5 goes Nigel with 29.0. Then his first time on the board then here tonight, and sending himself underway then here in qualifying. We've got R2 beat up to the line. He has improved then by 0.2 of a second. He stays P13 for the time being though. So we will see what he can do. Then Kaz has got himself onto the board there, 30.1 I should say then for the Williams driver. Then P16 as it stands then for him. Then Farf is casually taking an outlap. Hopefully he doesn't get in the way of anybody, because that would be devastating and give him a penalty, and of course, so that would be very nice. I mean, very bad indeed. Not very nice, of course. No, definitely not. But there we go then. That's Farf. Hopefully we don't see him on the podium. Otherwise I've got to give him another one-word interview. But here comes Mags at a 28.641, 2,000ths of a second, I should say, then ahead of Dylan then, and that is incredibly close for the front row of the grid as it stands. That is great stuff indeed. Sweet repeat improves by almost half a second then to a 28.7. Then he's in the remit then for pole position potentially. We'll see what the McLaren driver can do. Then he's been a very good candidate for qualifying and in the races as well. Then has the McLaren driver. Let's see what he can do then in the last few minutes here. Nigel coming back to the pit, and I think then here comes Pot Stuff then round the final couple of corners into sector 3. We've got a Ferrari following him through. That's Craig R. We'll go back to Pot Stuff. Let's see what Pot Stuff can do then in the Alpine, flying through sector 3 now as well. He's gone purple in sector 2. That's promising stuff indeed then for the Alpine driver. Can he get himself in the 28s? I think he can, but we'll wait and see then through into the final corner. Let's see what the Alpine driver can do then up to the line. He's going to cross the line now, and it's going to be a 28.7. Then 28.7 puts himself in between the McLarens and P3 as it stands then for Pot Stuff. Good stuff indeed. And Craig R back to the pit lane, abandoning his time. Mumford coming back to the pits as well. Then R2B, I think, coming into the pits as well. Unfortunately, Joseph is invalidated, so right on board with Farf, unfortunately, for your viewing eyes, but he's gone purple in sector 1. Then that's looking good indeed then for Farf. Can he keep it all together then into sector 2? That is the question. More technical corners in sector 2. Pretty much sector 1 and sector 3 are pretty straight lines, to be fair. Unfortunately, there's a couple of corners thrown in there, which is very impactful then to your lap time. But there we go. They have to do that for Formula 1 racing. That is down the back straight then into sector 3 we go then with Farf. Let's see what he can do then as we go round turn 11 now and into turn 12, and flying that has through in car number 15. He goes then into sector 3, purple, not purple I should say. Oh god, I nearly swallowed my tongue. A 7.2 in sector 2, that is for Farf. Let's see if we can gain some time back then in sector 3, then flying down towards turn 14 and 15 as well. Then not taking too much curve then on the entry, which is good stuff indeed. Then not unsettling the car then through to the line. Then let's see what the Haas can do, and it's a 29.1, then 1/10 away from his teammate. Then P8 for Farf as it stands. Good stuff indeed. And there we go then, Joseph back out on track then, but unfortunately he's not got much ERS left to play with, and he's done a 30.2 then into the range then of Kaz's range, I should say, as well. Fanjo back out on circuit, then coming through turns 2 and 3, heading down towards turn 4. Of course, DRS now available then into sector 1 twice, really, because of course that main straight is the longest DRS straight on the circuit. That is purple again in sector 1, but he's only gained by 17,000ths of a second then in sector 1, so he must have set a very formidable sector 1 time previously. Let's see if he can keep it all together. Then can he improve even further than in sector 2, and we'll fly down towards turn 9 and now into turn 10 as well. Yellow flags ahead of us. Hopefully that's just a car getting out of the way. Then it looks like there's a Haas and a Aston Martin just getting themselves out of the way as we trundle down. Not trundle down, he's going at quite a big speed then is Fanjo, but he's trundling down on my point of view towards turn 11 now and turn 12. Here we go then, flying through then in the Williams car into sector 3, purple once again. Then he's 17,000ths of a second up on his time, which is promising stuff indeed. That would put him in the range. Actually, I think I might keep him in the range of P5 as it stands then, but to wait and see, can he improve even further through sector 3? Like I said, sector 3 pretty much just turns 14 and 15, and that's all you need to worry about so much as up to the line then for Fanjo. Then he stays P5, but he has improved by a 10.5. Then good stuff indeed. Farf coming back to the pit lane. He has finished his next lap. Then Craig R has improved by 3.5 almost, then stays P9 for the time being there, but good stuff indeed from Craig R in the Ferrari, looking strong then in Team Ferrari then here in Bahrain, as they were on Saturday as well. Then unfortunately a bit weaker than the Red Bulls, but we don't want to comment on that because it's just a bit boring then watching the Red Bulls fly around the circuit then in Bahrain last weekend, but we don't have to worry about that here. We're going to have some epic action. We're going to have some much better action as well then here in Silver tonight then. Good luck from Kiki then for silver. Equaz has done ALR with a weird hand emoji. I'm not quite sure what that is. Farful win, says Kiki. God, we don't want that. That will be absolutely terrible, especially for the interview stages as well. Then Ginner then coming down the back straight. Then Eric has said Nigel for pole, says Eric Westrink then supporting. I'm not sure if it's his brother or if it's his dad or son or whatever, or grandson. But he is supporting Nigel, whatever the fact then. Good stuff indeed. Nigel currently in P7. They're back out on track. 1.5 minutes left here in qualifying. We've been flying through. We did start a bit early, to be fair, but we've been flying through this qualifying very quickly indeed. Then here comes Jenner up to the line. Then what can Jenner do? Can he improve on a 29.7? Yes, he can, and he's improved by almost 0.4 of a second. Puts himself P11 just outside the top 10, and I think that's his qualifying done and dusted here, because he's not got enough time to come back round and start off another lap. Then Craig R has improved to P6. A great lap time indeed from Craig R, 29.003. Puts himself ahead of Ultimate Beast by 9 thousandths of a second, I should say. Ultimate Beast can improve, though. He's back out on circuit as well, flying down towards turn 4. Jenner coming back to the pit lane. Gordo is off on his way, then starting a lap. We'll come back to him. We'll come back to Beast, because Beast is the next driver, I think, to cross the line in anger, unless we've got Dylan further along. No, we haven't, and Glocks has just started his lap as well then, so we'll come back to that. Fanjo back in the pit lane, has retired. Then he is not going to improve on P5 here in this qualifying, and so far it is so far it's quite a strong qualifying, to be fair, from Fanjo. But could he be beaten by Beast? Could he be beaten by Craig R? Could he be beaten by Nigel? We'll have to wait and see. Then into turn 10 we go, then flying down the back straight, then towards turn 11 then for Ultimate Beast. I think he was up on his time in sector 1. We'll have to wait and see. I'll have to double check then as we go into sector 2 then, but or sector 3 I should say then, but we'll fly through very shortly then, see what the Delta is saying then as we go through into sector 3. Now he is a 10th up on his time. That will put him in the range then of P6 then, with Craig R ahead of Craig R, I should say, then into P6 as it stands. I don't think it's enough then to compete with Fanjo at the moment, but can he improve even further through sector 3? The track rubbering in now as we get to the final stages of qualifying. Farf has finished his qualifying, so has Joseph, so has Reflection. Here comes Beast up to the line. It's P6. He has improved enough then by another, almost 1/10 of a second then to stay in, to get himself up into P6 then ahead of Craig R. I think as cruising back to the pit lane there is Craig R. Good stuff indeed. A few more people entering the pit lane as well. There's a few more pit activities, let's say it that way. Here comes Gordon, then he's abandoned his time, then he's back into the pits as well. Then here comes Glocks, I should say, back in the pit lane as well. Then they're abandoning their times left, right and centre here in the Bahrain as Dylan, blimey, all over the curbs then on the entry, then has cost himself a valid lap. Then let's see what Mumford can do up to the line. Can he improve even further? Mumford up into P12 then, 1/10 of a second improvement. Then here comes Vessier, then Vessier unfortunately has not improved on his time. R2 beat though, R2 beat up into P7, a fantastic improvement on his time as well. Then here comes Sweet 100p then up to the line, P3 for Sweet 100p. Then I think that's qualifying done and dusted here as Nigel is back in the pit lane. Mr. Elite is the next driver to cross the line in anger, I think, here on track. TK retires from the session, then unfortunately TK didn't get time on the board in the end. Then Mr. Elite jumps his teammate for P15, and Kamara Racer is still on an outlap for some reason. He's lost the front wing though as Kamara Racer is back in the pits as well now, so that is qualifying done and dusted. Then Mags takes the pole position here in Bahrain. Fantastic stuff indeed. 2 thousandths of a second separate Mags then and Dylan in P2. Fantastic qualifying here in silver. I am an absolute bottle drop, says Gordo. I think he's just quoting me, to be fair. But yeah, that's unfortunate then for Gordo. I think he's not had a best lap then on his final attempt there. But that was great qualifying indeed then. Fantastic stuff indeed. Unfortunately for Reflection and for TK, didn't get time on the board here. But that is that then for qualifying here in Bahrain. The race will be coming up very shortly indeed then. We'll have a quick look at the classification. Then there is Mags then on the top step. Dylan in P2. Both the Irishmen doing a good job then locking out the front row. 2 thousandths of a second separate them. Potstaff in P3 in the Alpine, 33 thousandths of a second behind pole position, I should say. A 10th behind then is Sweet 100p in P4, Fanjo in P5, Ultimate Beast in P6, R2B, a great qualifying lap from him there, P7, Craig R P8, then Nigel P9, unfortunately for Nigel, not a great qualifying once again here in Bahrain. Farth in P10, Kamara P11, Jinner in P12, Mumford in P13, Vessia P14, Mr. Elite P15, Gordo in P16, Kaz in P17. Joseph then sets P18. Unfortunately, Reflection and TK did not get their laps on the board, unfortunately, here in qualifying.
BoxBox Hub is an absolute essential for any Formula One fan, and the entire app with new widgets, statistics, localized race schedules, and countdowns, you name it. They even have support for Apple's new live activities feature with real-time updates during a race right on the lock screen, and honestly, some of the best looking widgets I've seen.
If you haven't checked out BoxBox yet, then of course the new F1 season is well underway. Well, it's only just done one race, but of course get your live widgets, all your standings, everything you need, then all your graphics, all sorts of stuff then for F1 themes, F1 themed everything on the BoxBox app. Then of course get live updates, get your timings for your next sessions, everything like that you need on your lock screen, on your understandings and everything like that, all your favorite drivers, all sorts of things like that on your lock screens as well. Then it's a fantastic app then, and great indeed then for the Formula One enthusiast then, which I think most of us are, to be fair. Good stuff indeed. And if you've got any pennies left over, of course, then feel free to check out the ALR shop, then get yourself a nice hoodie. It's still quite cold here in England, so yeah, get yourself a nice hoodie as well then. But there we go then, we are ready to get ourselves started then for the Bahrain Grand Prix, and there is a well, there's a pretty even split. Well, pretty actually, I think it's much more even split, which doesn't make sense there, but a bit more of a biased split then towards the hard compound tyres. Unfortunately, only mediums and hards then for the start of this Grand Prix. Then it looks like Mags then in P1 is starting on the medium compound tyres, then looking for a faster start than the drivers behind him too, of Dylan Potstuff as well. Then we've got 3 medium runners then of Sweet MJP from P4, Fanjo P5 and Ultimate Beast in P6 then. Everybody else is on the hard compound tyres all the way down to Mr. Elite and Gorda then on the mediums in P15 and 16, Kaz as well on the mediums in P17 and Joseph in P18 on the medium compound tyres. Everybody else on the hard compound as we get ourselves set then and ready for the Bahrain Grand Prix. 29 laps around here. It's going to be an exciting one. It's going to be an epic one as well, and it's going to be much better than the Saturday showing as well then, which would send most people to sleep, to be fair. Right then, as my legs are agony, says Gorda, then top 3 were so close as well. Good luck from Rocket Lizo. Turn 4 is a lovely corner as well from Gorda, so turn 4 maybe going to be one of Gordo's opportune overtaking moves, if they can get that lined up then down towards turn 4 after turns 2 and 3, that is, and turn 1 to be fair. But there we go then. So that is Will Buxton commentary then for this event. If you can get through turn 1, 2 and 3, you can reach turn 4. If you didn't know that, then well done indeed. You've just learned something fantastic. But nonetheless, we'll get ourselves started then, hopefully for some Grand Prix racing, some action then to keep my mind off of turn 4 now, because it's getting a bit too silly. But there we go then, all the cars now lining up on the grid then for the Bahrain Grand Prix, which is coming up in just a few seconds' time. Then we are lining up then, the 5 red lights are on here in Sakir. The 5 red lights are out then, but we'll have a bit of a pause before we go. It's lights out and we are racing here in Bahrain for Silver Season 7. Off we go then, great start in even Glocks then on the medium compound tyres, heading down towards turn 1. Fanjo already making moves on the medium compound tyres into turn 1. Everyone's got themselves through, I think, unscathed, it looks like, just about. Then we'll have a look at the position changes as well then, because that is more important at the moment. Fanjo then gaining a place then on Sweet MJP, then Sweet MJP having a difficult start, then he's now being put under pressure then from Ultimate Beast into turn 4. There's 3 wide in the background then as Farf and then Craig R and R2 Beat then all battling away. Then R2 Beat's dropped down the field, and he's not had a great start then. Unfortunately, the Aston Martin then, now Craig R looking to get himself a nose down in the inside then, which turns to, of course, to the outside then of turn 6 as well then, as we've got the Aston Martins already making contact through into the hairpin there, and there's all sorts of shenanigans going on in the background between the Alfa Romeos as well then. Blimey, it's all sorts of shenanigans here. Into turn 10 we go then. Don't want to go too deep on the brakes. There's already a curb. Oh, there's already a car going over the curbs there as we get ourselves through the first lap here into sector 2. We go then flying down the main straight then. Both the Aston Martins having a bit of a difficult start then. Hard to beat back underway there on the hard compound tyres. I think just getting swamped by some on the mediums as we get ourselves through the opening stages of lap 1 as well. Then into sector 3, Dylan is trying to keep hold of the Ferrari of Max then into the next few corners, I should say, then, as we get ourselves through. Already setting the pace. The top 2 then splitting off then for Potstuff, who's already lost a 1 second gap then to the top 2. Of course, DRS not enabled in 1 lap then on this game. He will be, of course, enabled in 1 lap on the next game potentially. We'll have to wait and see. Then Fandro then making moves already then into P3. Then both the 2 Irishmen already splitting off in the distance. There's 1 Irishman now up into P3. Here comes Sweet P on his teammate, not on his teammate, on his friend. Potstuff then into turns 2 and 3, but no moves being made then. Potstuff, of course, on the hard compound tyres. We've got moves in the background. Then Nigel up 1 place and into P8. Then there's all sorts of action here with the McLaren then of Sweet MJP, I think, and Ultimate Beast then into turn 4. We go through turn 4, then round the outside goes the Red Bull driver. He's got the move, I think, has he? Yes, he has. Up into P5 then for the Red Bull. Good stuff indeed. Deltas then need to sort themselves out. We've got Joseph having an issue then into... Joseph's lost the front wing. It's a virtual safety car, and the Red Bull driver has lost the front wing then in sector 2 really at the beginning of it, but I think through into turn 4 then, going a bit too quickly then as well then on the power after that front wing has been displaced, and hopefully that will get cleared away then very quickly indeed then, and we can get ourselves back underway then for some racing. Kamara Racing has got a 5-second penalty, ignoring yellow flags, not green flags, ignoring yellow flags somewhere as well then. Unfortunately then for the Alfa Romeo driver, that could be removed then potentially. We'll have to wait and see if it's going to be reviewed after the race. But that is that then. I think the VSC is going to catch anybody out. Joseph's got a drive-through for speeding under VSC as well then. Unfortunately for Joseph, it goes from bad to worse with the front wing damage as well then. And that is bad news indeed then for the Red Bull driver then, reserving tonight in place of Irvine here. And Irvine's not going to be too happy then with the reserve driver then, who is not going to be getting any points at this stage unless there's a safety car to bring him back in the race. Then DRS is enabled then on to lap 3 we go then. Dylan is now right on the back end of the Ferrari of Mags in towards turn 1. Can he make a move then into turn 1 under the braking? Not quite indeed, but not close enough indeed to make any moves then. Both the top 3 then, the Irishman splitting off in the distance. Then here comes Potstuff, kind of hold on now. DRS of course is going to be enabled then as we go into turn 4. Then R2 Beat and Mumford having a big battle. Then there's an Alfa Romeo off in the background as well. Then I think that was Kamara Racer trying to get himself back underway, and he's lost out to TK as well into turn 4 then, unfortunately for Kamara, not having a great first opening stint here so far in this race. Then Joseph has got himself sorted, and now front wing back on that car and back underway then on the medium compound tyres. Good stuff indeed. Now is out of 1 second of the cars ahead. The top 4 are trying to stretch their legs here, trying to get themselves a nice little gap then to the field behind in Mumford, not Mumford even. It's Mr. Elite and Kaz switching places then into turn 10 we go. Then the Mercedes now ahead as we get ourselves settled back into this Grand Prix as well then. Good stuff indeed then. Craig R then has got a bit of a gap then, 2.3 seconds then to the Haas pair of Nigel and Farf, who is flying through then. 3 places gained for Farf then. Good stuff indeed then. 4 places gained for TK from the back of the grid after not getting himself a time on the board in quali, and now he's got himself a bit of a challenge then to get himself back in this fight then for the points pair positions. And here comes Dylan though for the lead of the Grand Prix. Here he comes then on the hard compound tyres. He sets the fastest lap of the race then as he pulls out then of the under the slipstream then of the Ferrari then into turn 1. He has got the lead of the Grand Prix, and he has taken that into turn 1. And good stuff indeed then. Glocks can fight back though in towards turn 4 with some DRS as well. Then here comes Mumford and Jinner battling away into turn 1 as well. Then there's contact between the Aston Martin and the AlphaTauri, but the AlphaTauri now ahead into the top 10, and now Mumford can try and chase down Craig R for the next points pair position as well. Then there's been some movers and shakers down the back of the order. I think Cordo has No, it's not called it. It's Kamara Racer. I think they're trying to get themselves back past TK or back in the fight. At least he's still in the train. There's quite a bit of a train then forming behind Craigar. I should say Mumford actually is 1.6 seconds behind Craigar as it stands. There's a few different strategies there to unfold. Of course, majority then on the majority on the hard compound tyres, looking to go longer in the first stint though. But Max, for example, is on the medium compound tyres. Will switch over to the tyre compounds now to see what everybody is using then in this opening stint of the Grand Prix here in Bahrain. And so far it's been good. Unfortunately for Joseph, he's back in the pit lane now. I'm not quite sure what's happened to Joseph though. He's having a few issues out there, unfortunately, in the Red Bull car. Got himself back on the way this time as well then, but he unfortunately needs a safety car to get himself back in this race now, as Max then trying to chase down Dylan, once again trying to retake the race lead from the McLaren driver. We've seen a good battle then throughout the season so far then between these two. Can he get himself involved once again then for Max? Then Fangio then is waiting in the wings as well. Potstuff then as well on the hard compound tyres is not too shy to make a move then, and of course can make a move then for the podium places very shortly indeed. We will see if he can, that is. Medium compound tyres of course will last not last as long I should say then as the hard compound tyres, as R2B and Kaz and all R2B and TK, all sorts of battling going on here. R2B had a great qualifying, but he's dropping down the order here in the race itself, then down from P7 to P15 so far, not having his best race at this stage of the Grand Prix. TK getting himself round the down the inside I should say of ultimate of Mr. Elite. Then there's too many ultimates and elites on this one. But there we go then, and right on the back then is Vessia on Jinner as well, then into the hairpin we go. Then is he going to make a late move for a dive bomb? Not quite. He sits behind and probably takes the less risky option then as well then of potentially using your front wing going through there if you're going over an attempted dive bomb into that corner as well. Then good stuff indeed so far. The gap's starting to emerge onto lap 5 now as well. Then the top 7 stretching their legs. Then unfortunately Nigel's lost the back of his teammate. Then the ERS light flashing already on Nigel's car. He looks like he's struggling through turn 11 as well. Then the Haas driver, unfortunately for one of the Haas's, it's not looking too good. Then the other one of Bath then is going strong so far then. Evening Mushroom as well from Vintage, good stuff indeed. Evening from Mushroom as well. Then I think he said he was sorting out his PlayStation 5 for the race tomorrow, which is going to be a bronze here in Bahrain once again as well then. So that's going to be a triple feature I should say then for the Bahrain Grand Prix. Mags has lost out then to Fangio as we go down towards turn 1 once again. The Williams now putting the pressure on the McLaren for the lead of the Grand Prix as we go into turn 1 and 2 to start off lap 6 here in Bahrain. Vessia and Jinner switching places as well. Vessia then going down the inside of the Aston Martin, has got the place then up into P11 now as Jinner trying to fight back then. I think is all this sort of action going on here as well with Favre getting himself ahead now of the McLaren. As 300p, there's half the medium compact tyres don't seem to be working too well here in Bahrain tonight. They didn't work for me very well last night as well, to be fair. But yeah, it seems like the hard compact tyres are working wonders in the opening stint. Not so much then for the medium runners. They will have to wait and see if they might phase back in. But at the moment then it's looking quite strong indeed then as Jinner into the back then of Vessia. That is big contact there, and now Jinner has lost the car then, and TK has been collected by that as well then, unfortunately then, and both the AlphaTauri then and the Aston Martin, as there is right end plate damage then on the AlphaTauri, unfortunately then for TK. Both the Aston Martin and for the AlphaTauri of TK then having issues then, and not out of the Grand Prix, but having issues then, having to get himself back into the pit then. I think at this stage, I think Jinner has actually got his front wing intact, which is quite lucky indeed, but unfortunately for TK, it was the wrong place at the wrong time then for the AlphaTauri driver, which is a big shame indeed. Then hopefully he can get himself back into the pit lane and get that car serviced and sorted. As back up the front then, let's have a look and see what's going up here onto lap 7 we go now. Fangio is still sticking with the McLaren of Dylan then at this stage. Medium compound tyres I don't think will be too bad. They will start to wear out of course a bit quicker than the hard compound tyres in the next few laps or so. Yellow flags, and in the background it's Joseph who's having a few issues out there, trying to get himself back through. Jinner is in the pit lane, same with TK as well. Then they're having to sort out that damage that they had suffered then in that fiasco then at the hairpin of sector 2. Pot stuff going around the outside of Glocks then into turn 4 as well. He's got the move then for P3 up into the podium places now is Pot stuff. Great stuff indeed then from the Alpine driver, and now trying to put the pressure on the next car and head of him, which is the Williams of Fangio for P2. So far so good then out in front then, unfortunately Nigel knocking off the back of the field, not having a great time out there. Yellow flags again then for Joseph. who's struggling to get the car back underway, I should say. Then he has got himself sorted now, thankfully. But so far he's struggling out there as well, almost going to be lapped as well then by the McLaren of Dylan, who is flying through turn 11 and 12 now as well. Then into sector 3 we go on lap 7 of 29. So far it's looking quite strong indeed. Then of course the hards will last a bit longer than medium, so he will have to well, he won't have to pit as early as Fanjo, as early as Glocks then, and as early as Ultimate Beast and Sweet 100p potentially. We'll wait and see then. I think it's just the Red Bull then of Joseph then getting out of the way then of the flying runners then flying through. This is the top 7 then, separated by less than a tenth and a half a second, I should say, between the most of them. Then Potstuff then is just dropping back then from the top 2. But I think Fanjo's going for a move here for the lead of the Grand Prix into turn 1 down the inside of Dylan. Then he's got the move. Then Joseph has retired in the pit lane. And that is a pit to quit, unfortunately, which is not very nice indeed. It's very frowned upon. But yeah, I think he was struggling out there as well, especially being a lap down after only 7 laps then into turn 4, and Fanjo holds on to the lead. Then Dylan all over the back of the diffuser of that Williams car, then pushing them through into sector 2 as we go down the hill once again then onto lap 8. Now let's have a look and see who's next to get in the battle. Then Farf all over the back of Ultimate Beast as we go down towards the hairpin once again. Hopefully no contact this time. 5-second penalty for Gino. They're speeding in the pit lane. Unfortunately Gino's back in the pit lane again then after just making another stop. I'm not quite sure what's happening there. But he has got himself back in the pits nonetheless. Then onto another set of it's a wing change then for Gino. They're not quite sure if he didn't get the wing change on his last stop then, but whatever the case then is, unfortunately for Gino, he's had to make 2 stops, then 2 unscheduled stops as well, I believe. So that is not good news then for the Aston Martin driver. Then the Aston Martin R2B is starting to regain his composure then in this Grand Prix. He was in P7 at the start, then he's back up into P12 then after almost being down to P17 in the opening laps. Then good stuff indeed from R2B, battling back here. Here comes Dylan battling back then for the race lead then into turn 14 and 15. No move being made then. I think he was just being very cautious indeed then, and waiting to line up a move then with some DRS there down the main straight once again then to retake the lead of the Grand Prix as Reflection picks up a 3-second penalty. That is bad news for Reflection then in sector 3, I believe that is. Here comes Dylan down the inside. Can he make the move then? He has made the move then into turn 1. Oh my goodness me, there's a Alpine flying into there as well then. That was Potstuff, I believe, then flying into turn 1 there, as that has really unsettled the car then for Fanjo. Then he's got himself back underway. He's lost a bit of time then to Dylan there, but hopefully they can get themselves recomposed and back underway here into turn 4. Nice helicopter shot indeed. This is a great shot indeed. I haven't seen this one before. Nigel and Craig are switching places then into turn 4. Nigel is ahead now of the Ferrari, then P8 for the championship contender. This is not good though. This is where his title rivals then are splitting off into the distance as it stands. Then Ultimate Beast trying to go down the inside of Glocks then, and he hasn't made the move unfortunately. And TK sets the fastest lap of the race then after making that unscheduled stop for a wing change as well, which of course will be an extra point for himself and the team then if he can hold on to that as well then in the latter stages of the Grand Prix. Then Fanjo trying to stay with Dylan now. I think that contact and bot stuff has unsettled the Williams driver, but he's still within DRS range as it stands. Then Potstuff trying to hold on as well at this stage as the ERS light I think was flashing away then on the Alpine. No, it was the Williams ahead of him actually in P2. But now Fanjo back into the DRS range then of the McLaren as everyone else resumes their seats, resumes their position then in the top 7 as it stands. Good stuff indeed. Then Craig is in a battle then with Nigel then for P8 here in this race. Then Craig all over the back of the Haas driver as it's settled down a bit in the background here as R2B now trying to put the pressure on Mr. Elite, who's lost out to the Mercedes driver then somewhere on the lap then, and now trying to get himself back into that position as well. Then good stuff indeed. Then right out in front then, no moves being made then for the race lead this time then as Fanjo stays right behind the McLaren of Dylan into turns 1 and 2 and 3. And now some DRS there is available, but Dylan there going over to the right-hand side or left-hand side of the track then, depending on which angle you're looking at, and to try and break the slipstream then of the Williams car flying through into sector 2 we go then once again. Lap 10 has been an epic Grand Prix so far. It's been a lot better than the actual thing, but to be fair, Ocean Grand Prix racing here in Bahrain, that is in the league racing scene, is much better than the actual Bahrain Grand Prix that I watched on Saturday anyway. So there we go. Joseph Chicken Madras is having a mare, says Serious Russian. That's I think the one way to put it. Unfortunately for Joseph, then out of the Grand Prix after stopping in the pit lane. Then he did have to stop at least I think twice in the pit lane. I think he's done 3 stops in total, including the pit and quit. So yeah, it was not going his way. Then Gillen sets the fastest lap of the race. Then good stuff indeed from Gillen and from TK for soldiering on in this one. They can potentially get themselves back in the race, especially if there's a safety car at some point in the Grand Prix as well. Then Fangio then all over the back then of Dylan, who's done 10 laps now on the medium compound tyres. How long will they hold out then is the question. They can hold out for a long time around here, but I think the hard compound tyre is still the best compound to start the race on then, as I made that mistake of starting on the medium compound tyres yesterday, which is why it went downhill for me. I did get the fastest lap point though, which is good. That's my best moment of the season, to be fair, so far in gold, that is. But now into turn 1, there's contact on the back of the McLaren, then from the Williams front nose then, but into turn 1 we go. Craig R and Nigel switching places then. Nigel now down to P9, Craig R up into P8 then. Great stuff indeed then from the Ferrari, and up into the up in points playing positions as well. Good stuff indeed. Dylan and Fangio switching places in turn 4 then, an undercut then, or a switchback I should say then, from the McLaren, and keeps hold of the lead into sector 2 as well then. Good stuff indeed. The top 3 now trying to pull away from Glocks at this stage as well. They're almost out of 1 second range then of the Ferrari. Glocks starting to struggle I think on the medium compound tyres. The mediums did start to struggle quite early on then, if you started on them, or started the race on them, that is, in the first stint, but the Ferrari then flashing away, then the EOS light is flashing away, which means he's not got much electrical energy to play with as we go down the back straight. Then the DRS of course is open then for the top 7, who are still splitting away from the rest of the pack so far. Electrifying pace here in Bahrain then as well. Good stuff indeed. As the top 7 really just trying to peel away then, trying to get themselves out of range I think of the rest of the field as quickly as possible in this lap 11 of 29. We're not at halfway just yet then. We've got another 3 laps or so to go then, but we'll have to wait and see who's going to fare the best then, which strategy is going to come out on top. There's a mix of mediums and hards here in the top 7, and it's going to be a question of who is going to be on the best strategy then, who's going to call it right then, who's going to pitch at the right time for the right tyre, that is, as well then. Is anybody going to go long and go onto the soft compound tyres as well? Then we'll have to wait and see. We did see some soft runners yesterday in gold then, as Fangio then takes the lead of the Grand Prix. Dylan there is almost caught up then with the Williams car as well, and that almost opened the door for Potstuff once again then to try and take the position as well. Then here comes Dylan on the back of the Williams car down towards turn 4. Then can he go around the outside on the hard compound tyres? He's going to be looking for the move. Then Potstuff as well looking for the move down the inside of the pair of them as well, as here comes Dylan then all over the back of the Williams car, then pushing him through sector 2 then, but unfortunately for Dylan and for Potstuff, no moves can be made into that section as well. Then into turn, oh my goodness, into as Beast has got himself past Glocks as well. Then I didn't see that, I completely missed it as I was watching this battle here for the lead of the Grand Prix then, but on Beast up into P4 then ahead of the Ferrari of Glocks then, as now as we've just seen them constantly interrupting into turn 10 as well, as it looks like Dylan there has sat behind, he is sitting behind for the time being behind the Williams car. Then I think this is the stage when the hard compound tyres will be a lot faster than the mediums at this stage, so if they can get themselves a bit of clean air and get themselves away from the medium runners, then this is where the hard runners will start to get themselves into the fight then, as here comes Dylan down the inside at turn 13, and he's got the move, I think, has he? As Joseph has left the session, unfortunately. Joseph, here comes Potstuff. Potstuff's involved as well as we go down 3 wide down towards turn 14. This is going to get tight indeed. There, Dylan locks up then on the entrance to the corner then, but Fangio stays ahead then, and here comes Potstuff as well then. We'll ride on board then. I think we're going to be losing my voice then because the engines will be drowning out the noise. But here comes Potstuff and he's blitzing down the main straight. Look at him go then. He's flying down the outside then of Fangio as well. Can he take the lead here in this Grand Prix then? Fangio goes very deep then. Potstuff's still there on the inside now for turn 2. Can he hold this move then? That's the question. Then here comes Potstuff then for the race lead. Then DRS is with Fangio somehow. I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but Potstuff, they're trying to go right down the outside. Then this is going to open the door for Dylan as well. Then Dylan looking to sneak back into P2 then on the Alpine of Potstuff, as Ultimate Beast and Ultimate Beast and Farf then are in the fight as well. Where's Glock's gone? He's dropped down the field. He's into the pit lane here as Mags. He's pitted for the hard compound tyres. I completely missed it because I was engrossed in the battle here for the race lead, but Dylan has fought off Potstuff somehow into turn 9 and 10. They've resumed or status quo. Then they've settled down. Favre going for a dive bomb then on Ultimate Beast. That's going to be very costly indeed for Favre then if he gets that wrong, and hopefully it will be a penalty for Favre as well then, as Ultimate Beast then trying to battle back, then trying to hold on to that P4 position, but Favre's got the inside line then, and into a turn 11. It looked like the Red Bull trying to turn into the Haas, then the Haas is already there, then you can't turn in if there's a car already on your inside. Favre takes P4 away from the Red Bull driver, then up into P4 now for the Haas driver. Good stuff indeed then. Nigel then is up into P6. We've had some pit stops. I completely missed it. We've had Mags then into the pits then, and Sweet MJP then into the pits as well, who were in this fight for the top 7, which has now become the top 5, of course, with those 2 stops. Then Fanjo is peeling away then into the pit lane, as well as Beast as well. So the medium compound tyres are done and dusted then for those drivers. Here comes Potstuff then all over the back of Dylan, looking to try and get himself back into the lead of the Grand Prix. Can he go around the outside then of the McLaren into turn 1? Not quite. He has to sit behind for the time being. Then into the pits comes Fanjo. Into the pits comes somebody else as well. Then we've got Mr. Elite in the pit lane as well. And we've got cars coming in. So the medium tyres then are done and dusted here in this Grand Prix. For those that started on the medium compound tyres, that is. But of course, we might have some unscheduled stops. We have had some unscheduled stops then for the likes of TK and for Ginner as well. Then so they will have to come in the pit lane again, I think, at some point in this Grand Prix. But technically, if we go to the end of the Grand Prix, I think now they have used 2 different sets of compound of tyre, that is. Regardless of that then, as Kaz come out the pit lane now then into P18. Kaz then is still soldiering on in the Williams car then, but regardless of that, we'll come back to the fight then for the top steps of the podium. As it stands, there's only 3 of them left now, and they are on the hard compound tyres. They've started on the hard compound tyres as well then, after a scintillating opening 13 laps or so, with a great battle indeed with the medium runners into the first half of the race, that is. We're almost at halfway point, but been fantastic stuff indeed so far in this Grand Prix, as we go down the back straight towards turn 14 and 15, then to finish off lap 14 and start our way through the halfway point of this Grand Prix as well then. So far so good then for the top 3. They are stretching their legs now. Can they get themselves a nice little gap then to the rest of the field? Is Dylan coming in the pit lane? He is coming in the pit lane. That's a very late call indeed, and Potstuff almost in the back of the McLaren as well as we go into the pit entry. Thankfully avoided any damage, and very close indeed then was Potstuff then almost in the back of the former race leader of Dylan. Then into the box then we go then, as Dylan and Potstuff service their cars. Then Craigar follows them in on the hard compact tyres onto a set of mediums now for the Ferrari. Good stuff indeed as well then. Nigel and Farf carry on then, so they were soldiering on in this race on the hard compact tyres. Same for Mumford, Vessia and Kamara Racer. R2B then putting the Alfa Romeo of Kamara under pressure here for that P5 now position, but I think Mags then with that earlier stop then has got himself a net race lead. Of course the 6 drivers ahead of him haven't pitted in, but Fanjo then is thinking about that as well. Then he takes the net race lead away from the Ferrari driver up into a net P1 then for the Williams. Good stuff indeed. 200p then has jumped his teammate then with those stops as well, then up into P9 or net P3 that is at the moment. Dylan in net P4, Ultimate Beast a net P5, Potstuff a net P6. Craigar is technically I think in the net P7, but of course he is a bit further back than the rest of the field. As it stands, then there's still more stops to come for the drivers ahead. There's 6 drivers yet to pit as well then, so Craigar can get himself back into the points pen positions in the next few minutes or so. Next few laps I should say. We're Formula 1 here, aren't we? Good stuff indeed then. R2B now is all over the back then of Kamara Racer. It can't quite make the move then. 3 seconds separates the top 6 then to the net race leaders, that is, as Mags and Sweet Repeater are putting themselves under pressure. Here comes Dylan. Can he go down the inside of his teammate into turn 13? Not quite. He has to stay behind then, but I think he wants to try and push through on those medium compound tyres. Potstuff picks up a 3-second penalty. That is bad news for Potstuff, as he was in this fight then for the race lead then, and that might be very costly indeed. Then Nigel into the pits has decided to call it a day then on the hard compound tyres. Same for Bess here as well then. Kamara Racer come in as well. That is bad news indeed. Both the Alfa Romeo's going to double stack here, and that's going to be very bad for Kamara Racer's point of view, as he's going to have to wait for his teammate to clear the pit lane before he can get himself into the box, then to service that Alfa Romeo car, as there's contact into turn 1 as well. There's all sorts of shenanigans going on between the McLarens here of Sweet 100p then and Dylan. As we go down towards turn 4, Ultimate Beast and Potstaff are battling away as well in the background. Here we go into turn 4. Dylan going down the inside then of his teammate, and I don't think he's going to be able to hold it. Then he can. He's trying. He's still there, and into sector 2 we go then. And now the Ultimate Beast, the Red Bull of Ultimate Beast, is challenging as well. Then as we go diving down the inside, then blimey, that is there's contact as well. Then our Ultimate Beast and Dylan as well. Dylan has spun around and dropped out of the fight. Then I think then for this stage of the Grand Prix, of course, that was very minimal stuff indeed, very difficult stuff indeed. Then I think that might be looked at after the Grand Prix. Yeah, there we go. Then Ultimate Beast then I think was involved in that as well. That contact from the Red Bull then on the back of the McLaren, then spun the car around there. But I don't know if it was a similar situation that we saw in Gold last night, where we saw there was a contact, and that was it wasn't a spin around them. But I think that's contact then helped the McLaren get himself around that hairpin a bit too much than he needed to. But there we go. Then R2B is now under pressure then from Fangio. Then Fangio of course has pitted. R2B is yet to pit as we cross into lap 18. That is. No, it's lap 17. Sorry, because Favre carried on still. Favre's still soldering on those hard compound tyres. I'm not quite sure what the strategy is then from Favre, but he seems to be keeping on going then in this Grand Prix on those hard compound tyres. Lap 17 of 29 now as well, as Fangio then takes the net race lead. Mags then into P3. Net P2, I should say. Then Speed P has lost out a lot. Then I think he might have been involved. I thought he was ahead actually. Then ahead of Ultimate Beast and Dylan. He was involved in the battle then through turns 2 and 3 with his teammate and with the Rebel and with Potstaff as well. Then this has cost Potstaff. It's cost Dylan massively as well. Then he's now under pressure from Craig R, who is on the same freshness of tyres. Can pick up a 3-second penalty. The penalty starts to roll in here in Bahrain. Tomorrow racer, we've got a 5-second penalty speeding in the pit lane. Unfortunately for the Alfa Romeo driver, he's not had a great last stint. He's pit and quit. So there we go. Not too pit and quit so far in this race then, unfortunately then for Kamara Racing in the Alfa Romeo and for Joseph in the Red Bull then. And let's have a look and see what R2B is up to. He's got himself past Kaz now onto a fresh set of medium compound tyres. Can go to the end from here very comfortably indeed, but can he get himself back up into the points pen, which is the question then for the Aston Martin I should say. He is behind an Alfa Romeo, then a Vessia, then he's all over the back of Reflection. TK still soldiering on out there, as is Jinner as well. Then Jinner is yet to pit again from his first lap incident then with TK then to get himself onto a new set of tyres, I should say. Then let's have a look and see what Craig R's up to, because Craig R is on the attack I think here, potentially then for an next position. Then P7 is on the cards then for Craig R. The Dylan is flashing away then. That ERS light is flashing away. Then Ultimate Beast then has got himself past Sweet MGP, then up into P4, a net P3 that is as well then for Ultimate Beast. Good stuff indeed. Then Mumford and Gordo switching places. They're down the main straight. Mumford up into the top 10 now as it stands. Good stuff indeed as well then for the Alpha Tauri team. And into turn 1 he's got the place, then he's got the position, he's got 3-second gap then to Nigel then in P9. If he can get himself back in the fight, then here comes Dylan all over the back of Craig R. He can't get the move done into turn 4. He stays P8 for the time being, unfortunately for the McLaren driver. There we go then. Joseph said he had rear wing damage then, and that is the reason why he had to retire in the pit lane, so that is fair enough indeed. So it's not a pit and quit then, of course, if you've got rear wing damage that is sustained then throughout the race, then unless you've done it yourself on purpose. But if you have, of course, had that incident, I think you did have an incident on lap 1 which spun the car around, and of course if you're too close to a wall then and you go into the back of it, or the back of the car goes into the wall that is, then it can cause severe wing damage, severe rear wing damage that is, as Potstaff picked up another penalty. That's 6 seconds now for the Alpine driver. That's going to put him in the range then of Craig R from Dylan and from Nigel as well then. That could be very costly indeed for the Alpine driver, who's been pushing on very hard in this Grand Prix, and unfortunately is putting pains to that as well then with that 6-second penalty. That is going to be very costly indeed on the medium compound tyres then for Potstaff. Bad luck for Joseph, says Serious Mushroom. Yes, it was unfortunately, but hopefully he can bounce back then in the future Grand Prix as well then. Good stuff indeed. The new game in May, so I wouldn't worry. Yes, it is coming out very early in May as well now, and like I was saying at the beginning of the stream, then there might be some not early changes, but some late changes to the ALR calendar to accommodate that as well. Here comes Dylan there down the inside of Craig R. Can he make the move then? Can he keep the position this time? Yes, he can. P7 for the McLaren driver. Good stuff indeed then. Up into P7 now, chasing down Potstaff. He's got 6-second penalties. He's already passed Potstaff already mathematically with the penalty situation. Then 2 days to pit lane to call it a day then on the medium compound tyres. And out in front, Favre still soldiers on the hard compound. So I think he might be trying to go for the soft compound tyres then at the latter point of this Grand Prix here. Lap 19 of 29. 10 laps remain then at the end of this one. And we will have hopefully an exciting finish then for this one as well. But at the moment it seems to have calmed down, unfortunately for Dylan. That is actually, to be fair, he's flying on through. He's almost caught up to the back of the Alpine of Potsdam. I'm not sure if Potsdam's nursing an issue then, but he has got himself into the range almost of the Alpine, then into that DRS window as well. Then we'll have to wait and see if there's going to be any moves made for Dylan. Then he can still get himself back in the fight potentially here as well. Then he is on a nice set of newish set of medium compound tyres, which will be feeling pretty good right now. Then Favre is into the pit lane finally, and he's called it a day then on the hard compound tyres. 20 laps then on the hard compound tyres then for the Haas driver. A set of softs going on that Haas as well. Then that is going to be pretty scary indeed. Then as he comes out of the pit lane now, where will he come out in relation to the rest of the field? Can he get himself out ahead of Potsdam is the question. He's out of the pit lane now, but I think he's on the in terms of max speed. Then he's going to be behind, and he could be in range of his teammate as well. Then no, his teammate of Nigel then is right behind him, but he stays in P8 then for Favre. Then good stuff indeed now on the soft compound tyres. Can he get himself through the field quickly enough then to get himself back into the range then of a podium potentially here? We will wait and see. But those soft compound tyres are going to be absolutely rapid now compared to those on the slightly older medium compound tyres and the slightly older hards as well. Of course, the softs have a lot more pace indeed, and he's going to go around the outside of Craig. That's going to be a very ambitious move indeed then if he can hold on to it. Yes, he can, and he just about gets himself through then ahead of the Ferrari driver. Good stuff indeed. Now he's got Dylan to try and fight with as well. As we go into turn 10, there's contact between Favre and Dylan. Then into the back of the McLaren goes the Haas, and unfortunately for Favre, I'm not quite sure if the front wing broke off there, but it looked like that was enough of an impact then to cause a bit of damage then to the Haas car as well, as he just didn't gauge the distance then of the soft compound tyres compared to the medium tyres as well. Then here he comes out round the outside at turn 12. Can he hold the place? This is the question. Then into turn 13, round the outside still, the Haas is still there then, and he's got himself through then up into P6. Great stuff indeed from Favre, great move. And now right behind Potsdam then for P5 as well. Then he sits behind, then he wants that DRS then into down the main straight then into turn 14 and 15. He's got the position already then on the traction then on the soft compound tyres. Potsdam coming in the pit lane, and he's calling it a day here on the mediums, that is. And out of the way then of the rest of the field, then into P5 goes Favre. Then DRS of course enabled then for the what's he for? He's for the Haas driver, that is, and he's got himself up into P5 now. 5 second gap then to Sweet MVP in P4. Let's see if he can get himself back through. Then Potsdam into the pits. Then he's got himself onto the set of soft compound tyres. Same for Gordo as well. Then potentially going for the fastest lap point here, as we've got Nigel and Craig R switching places there. Round turn 4, round the outside goes Nigel. Craig R's lost the car, and he's got himself back and away. Thankfully not into the wall then for Craig R. Then he stays in P8, and he's lost out to Nigel then, but he's still got himself in. He still stays in this race, that is, for the fight then for some points, 10 positions. That is good stuff indeed. Mr. Elite and Reflection, there's Reflection and Vessia battling away then into sector 2. Blimey, there's a contact between the Alpine and the Alfa Romeo. Then up into P11 goes Vessia, but he is not making friends with Reflection, I don't think, as we go through the hairpin then, as down the inside goes Reflection, trying to get himself back through then on the Alfa Romeo then for P11 as it stands, that is. But of course there could be some situations that occur then later on in the stewards room that maybe could get this maybe could equal this into a P10 position. We will wait and see then, or maybe even more as well. Here comes Reflection there down the main straight. He's got the DRS, then he's got the power, then he's got himself through, then back up into P11, then ahead of the Alfa Romeo. Good stuff indeed then. The gap between SWMP and Favre now 3 seconds. That gap is flying down. It was over 5.5 seconds at one point. It's now down to under 3 seconds. Reflection and Vessia carrying on their fight then into turn 13, and R2Pete is now interested in this as well then as we go down towards the final couple of corners. Then R2Pete not going to make it 3 wide, is he? Into the final corner. This is going to be very dangerous indeed then. There's the Alpine and the Alfa Romeo go through, then the Aston Martin follows them through then, and now onto the main straight we go. DRS of course not available then for the Alfa Romeo as we go flying down the main straight. Wait, is there going to be DRS available? As we go, R2Pete going down the middle of them as he goes into turn 1. Is he going to keep the position? That's the question. Then the Alpine going very deep on the brakes. Then there's an Alfa Romeo then going flying through at the exit of turn 1, and it looks like R2Pete has got ahead of the Alfa Romeo, but he's not got ahead of the Alpine of Reflection. Then DRS then is available then for R2Pete, not R2Pete as I should say, as we're watching this battle here outside the top 10. But it's been absolutely fantastic for the last lap or so. And these drivers then are putting the silver name on the light, under the lights there. And it's been fantastic stuff indeed. Then these three, I should say, putting a great battle on here, even though there is no points on offer as it stands. Then the gap between Farf and Sweet and Repeat is now under 1 second. Then, and Ultimate Beast is being caught by Sweet and Repeat for that final podium place as well. This could be very dangerous indeed. Then with the soft runner then of Farf into this battle too for lap 22 of, well, onto lap 23 very shortly of 29 indeed. But Farf goes for the softs then for Serious Mushroom. I completely missed that because it was definitely the wrong time. But he has picked for the softs then. Only 3 laps to go now. And now is right on the fight then for the final podium place. Then out in front. Then Mags then gets the move then for the lead of the Grand Prix just in time. I've managed to flick over to that then as he takes the lead ahead of Fandra now into turn 1. Then here comes Ultimate Beast. Here comes Farf. Here comes Sweet and Repeat. Then all of them pushing each other through as it now looks like Ultimate Beast is trying to go for a move then into turn 4. Can he get the move then? DRS, of course, available for the Red Bull car as we go around the outside, I think, into turn 4. Oh, it's got himself through, I think, just about. There's almost what's going on here. Farf has got himself through as well. The soft compact tyres, they're working wonders at this stage. Of course, they are still in the prime of life as here comes Farf and Ultimate Beast then into the hairpin. Rubbing wheels, it looks like there, as Farf has got himself ahead now of the Red Bull up into the podium places then for Farf. Great stuff indeed then on the soft compact tyres. Will they hold out then to the end of the Grand Prix is the question. We will have to wait and see then. Can those hard compact tyres phase back in then in the latter stages and get himself back up into the podium places then for Ultimate Beast? He's done a great job so far in this Grand Prix, but it is not looking too good then if Farf can try and get himself away then on those soft compact tyres in the next lap or two. So far he's not got that 1 second gap that he needs then to break the DRS then to the Red Bull car, and it is looking good for Beast to hold on at this stage. Nigel got himself past Dylan then for P6, so Nigel then trying to recover in this race after a difficult first stint on the hard compact tyres is now up into P6 there. Dylan into DRS range, then Craig R is also in this battle still as well. Then Mumford is closing in though right behind. Then Mumford is on a fresher set of tyres as well by 2 laps then as well. He could get himself in the fight then potentially for P6 as well. We'll have to wait and see. Mr. Elite then doing a good job then in P10 as it stands. Then R2B has got himself free of the battle of Reflection and Vessia and now is into P11 then trying to chase down the top 10. Beast won't give it up easy, says Serious Mushroom. Then he is not giving up so far. Then into turn 4 we go once again. Then the soft compact tyres might have got past their best already, and of course with Farf try to put the pace down as quickly as possible. Then you can burn your tyres out a lot quicker if you're putting the forces through them very quickly early on in your stint. Then, but he has got himself now out of that 1 second window of the Red Bull car. That is safe and sound for the time being. But will those tyres hold on is the question. Then 2.6 seconds. We've been talking about the drivers behind Farf, but we should be looking at the drivers ahead of him. 2.4 seconds now, the gap to the top 2. Farf, somebody said it in the comment section, somebody said Farf could be on for a win here, and blimey, he actually could be as well. Reflection and Vessia resume their battle then into sector 2 as around the outside, down the inside goes the Alfa Romeo, and around the outside goes the Alpine and holds on to P12 then. But this battling in between the two of them has been pretty epic then indeed, but it's not helping them in terms of keeping up the time then, as Ultimate Beast then the ERS light flashing on the back of that Red Bull then, and now I think Sweet and Repeat is going to be in the fight for P4 then as we go down the main straight with some DRS then for the McLaren driver. They've lost the DRS then to Farf. Then 2 seconds was the gap then to the top 2 for Farf. Then it's still staying around that 2 second gap. Here comes Fandra, and then can he go for the race lead into turn 1? He's got the position up into P1 now and ahead of the Ferrari then into turn 1. Good stuff indeed. Sweet and Repeat then does make the move then on Ultimate Beast then into turn 1 as well, then up into P4 now for the other McLaren. Unfortunately for Dylan then, he is stuck behind Nigel for the time being into turn 1 as he has to hold his course as it stands at the moment. Then we've got 4.5 laps to go then at the end of it. Four laps to go at the end of this one, that is. Can the softs hold on for 9 laps? I think that will be, or no, it will be 10 laps actually for Farf. But can he get himself in the range then of the podium, or even better, he's already got himself on the podium as it stands. Then we've got all sorts of action then with Potstuff and Reflection as well. Then Reflection and Potstuff as we got teammates and rivals all battling away then as we go down towards turn 4. Then there's all sorts of weaving about then. I think they're just trying to get themselves ahead of the other driver as we go into turn 4, and Potstuff has got a yellow flag then. It's for an Aston Martin of Ginner then. He's got himself sorted thankfully, otherwise that would be a very untimely safety car. but he has got himself sorted then. Good stuff indeed. 1.6 seconds is the gap then for Favre. I don't know if the soft compound tyres will be able to catch up then in time then, as Potstuff and Reflection are now battling away. The same for Vest here as well. All of them, 3 of them, are all going to go into turn 10, piling into turn 10 it looks like as well. Down the inside goes Vessier. He's got the place then, and Potstuff with a great move on his teammate there, gets himself up into P13, and now with some DRS can get himself past Vessier as well. Jinner is retired in the pit lane. That's another pit and quit then from Jinner, unfortunately, which is bad news indeed then, unfortunately for Jinner. Then he could have gone for the fastest lap point as well, though, but I think it is currently held by TK or Potstuff, actually. I think Potstuff might have it, to be fair. He's got himself up into P12 now as well then, potentially ahead of his teammate. Oh, he's sliding over the curve then a bit, but he's got himself back underway, thankfully, and he's not lost out too much. And here comes Reflection and Vessier once again then, as we go down the hill towards turn 14 and 15 once again, and Reflection has gone for the move, then he's got the position, and Vessier unfortunately has gone into the back of the Alpine, and I think the Alpine now has got DRS then on his teammate. So yes, that will protect him from Vessier for the time being. I think Vessier, though, is still pushing on then, using all the battery then to his advantage. Let's see if he's going to make a move then into turn 1. And he's got the inside line on Reflection. Then Reflection gone very wide then into turn 1. Now turn 2. He's got the position. I think that he's trying to give space to Vessier there, but it's been fantastic, this battle here. Slots in behind, then does the Alfa Romeo then for the time being. That is into turn 4 we go. But blimey, they put on the race themselves. Have those two. It's been fantastic. Out in front then, 1.6 seconds remains the gap then between Favre and the top 2. I think the soft compound tyres have dropped off too much now, and now Favre can't catch up to the top 2 here. It's going to be between Fanjo and Mags then for the race win, I believe. We'll wait and see. Driver of the day is out then. Favre is your candidate, Mags is your candidate, and Mr. Elite is your candidate, and so is Mumford. We will look at the position changes then for those drivers. Unfortunately, Mags then has lost the position then to the race leader after getting himself on pole position. Then Fanjo is no, Fanjo's not a candidate, sorry. Favre's gained 7 places then from P10, looking strong indeed for a podium place as it stands. 2.8 seconds is the gap then to Sweet and Repeat, who's now under pressure from Ultimate Beast. Then that P4 position is available then for the Red Bull. He's got the place, then he's got himself up in the order, then up into P4. Good stuff indeed from Ultimate Beast then as well. And there we go. We've got Mr. Elite then in your candidacy as well. Then he's gained 5 places, but apparently has stayed where he is at the same time. So he has got himself from P15 up into the top 10, then into the points pair positions as it stands as well. Reflection and Vessier carrying on their battle here as they've been dropped by Potstuff as well. Then and Mumford. Where is Mumford? Mumford has gained 4 places, then he's in P9 as it stands as well. Good stuff indeed. I'm losing my voice if you couldn't tell, but there we are. Then that is the gaps. Then there is the order. There is the positions that they have gained throughout this Grand Prix as well. Then let's see how it's going to unfold. Then Mags then all over the back of Fandra. Is he saving some batteries? He's saving some energy then of those tyres to go for a last lap overtake on the Williams then and take back the race lead on the final lap or 2. We'll have to wait and see. Favre now dropping back then on the soft compound tyres. They've done fantastically well then on the first 5 laps or so. Got himself from P8, I think it was, then all the way up into the podium places now. But they're starting to drop off here as well now. Ultimate Beast is all over is being put under pressure, I should say, rather, from the Sweet 100p then in towards the final couple of corners. Then Sweet 100p looking to line up for a move then on to into P4, I should say, as we go round once again then to start off lap 28, the penultimate lap of the Grand Prix here. I'm not sure, it could be, but I'm not quite sure if it's going to be as close as Dylan's finished then in the last season then of 15 thousandths of a second then between P1 and P2. It could be pretty close indeed. Then Sweet and P then goes down the inside at turn 1. He gets the position up into P4 now ahead of the Red Bull of Ultimate Beast. Then Beast can fight back. Reflection picks up the penalty. That is another penalty then for the Alpine team. Unfortunately, here comes Beast then trying to fight back. Can he have the outside? Can he have the momentum? Then he has got the momentum into turn 4. He keeps the position of P4 after Sweet and P briefly held it then into turns 1 and 2. But good stuff indeed so far, so good. Then Ultimate Beast and Reflection, Gordo is in the pit lane, same for Vess here as well. So I think they're going for the fastest lap point here of the Grand Prix. That is the very end. Then they've got, of course, lap 29 then to try and go for that fastest lap point as they get themselves out of the pit lane on lap 28. Then here comes Max then all over the back then of Fanjo. Can he hold on? Favre is actually gaining now on these drivers. I'm not quite sure if Favre's having a few issues at the middle point of his stint. Then now he's got himself sorted and back underway, but I'm not quite sure if he's going to be able to get himself back in the fight then for the race lead or potentially their P2. as it stands, unless there's something goes very wrong then for Fanjo and for Mags as well further ahead. Potentially the fuel light could be on, but we don't know. But we will wait and see then as Gordo and Vessia switching places then into turn 4. Gordo ahead now of the Alfa Romeo. Here comes Mags then. We're on to the final lap of the Grand Prix. We will be very shortly. Yes, we are now. And here comes Mags then lining up a move then for the race lead. He's got the inside already. Then he's ahead then of the Williams car. Then into turn 1. He's got the braking zone done and dusted. Then into turn 1 we go then. And the Ferrari takes back the lead then on the final lap. 300p and Beast switching places as well. Then we'll come back to the battle then because we'll have to see what's going to be going on here for the race leaders. Then into turn 4. I don't think Fander's got it in his locker then to try and take back the lead. Favre is in P3. 300p is under pressure then from Ultimate Beast. Then Beast losing the car almost into turn 4 then, and we've got to move on round the outside then for Sweet. He's trying to defend P4, but Beast has got it. I think then he is ahead of the McLaren. Dylan has got himself past Nigel as well. Then Nigel trying to fight back. Then there's only one more DRS zone still to come here in this Grand Prix. Fanjo, can he make a move back for the race lead then as we get ourselves through turn 10 for the final time here in this Grand Prix? Yellow flags for Gordo and Vessia then, who are just holding each other up then. It looks like, I'm not quite sure what's going on there. Here comes Fanjo then. Can Fanjo get himself back around the outside then in turn 11? Then it's going to be close indeed. There's contact between the two cars, but they've got themselves sorted. And Fanjo stays P2 then into sector 3. We go flying through. And this is going to get close indeed. He's going to go for the move down the inside. Is he on the Ferrari? Not quite. Then he's too far back. He thinks better of it then. He doesn't want to ruin both of their races, as I think that was very close indeed. Then there could be some drag racing to the line, I think, here, as Favre is now almost caught up to this battling pack as well. Then he is really saved up some ERS then, as Favre trying to get himself in the fight. Then here comes Mags onto the start-finish straight to finish off lap 29, and he takes the checkered flag. Then the win here in Bahrain. A fantastic result then for the Ferrari driver. Then another win under his belt then as well. Then Fanjo takes P2. A great race from Fanjo as well indeed. Favre on the final podium place then. Unfortunately, we'll have to interview Favre in the next few minutes as well. Then Ultimate Beast claims hold of P4, I should say. Then 300p in P5. Then Dylan in P6. Then Fanjo, Nigel in P7. Craig R P8. Great result from Craig R. Mumford in P9. Then Mr. Elite rounds off the top 10. A great result from Mr. Elite as well. Then RTB then P11. Then Potstaff in P12. His teammate of Reflection across the line in P13. Oh, bloody. TK actually P13, I should say, after that good recovery there from TK in the end. Kaz there P14, Reflection P15, then Vessia and Gordo, as Gordo's picked up a 3-second penalty then for some sort of issue then in Sector 3, or entering Sector 3 that is, then into the final couple of corners. I think Vessia going for the fastest lap of the Grand Prix here. The ERS light flashing away then on the Alfa Romeo. Gordo's gone wide at the final corner, then up to the line, then Vessia sets the fastest lap of the race. Then good stuff indeed from the Alfa Romeo then, and Gordo then having a few issues then with the wall at the end of that Grand Prix. But there we go then, that is your Bahrain Grand Prix for Silver Season 7 around 8, and that has been absolutely epic stuff indeed. Then RTB got the driver of the day from the game, but I think we'll have to wait and see who's got the driver of the day then in the comment section, of course. That is where your somebody said shocking voting for Favre. Who is voting for Favre? That is absolute terrible stuff indeed. As there is your podium sitter then, Mags then on the top step, 2 Irishmen then and 1 Englishman. Then Fandra then in P2 in the Williams, and then the Haas of Favre in P3. Great stuff indeed then from the top 3. Great battle indeed then as well towards the end of that Grand Prix as well. And they have claimed the top, claimed the podium places, I should say then, with fantastic style indeed. Right then. It looks like Sean has entered the comment section, so that is terrible news for everyone there. Favre claims the driver of the day then in the comments as well then, so he will get the nice driver of the day graphic as well. But unfortunately, I don't want to do it for Favre. I would rather do it for anybody else, any of the other 3 nominees. But there we go then. There is your classification then for the Bahrain Grand Prix here in silver. Mags then takes the win after getting pole position as well. Then a very tense fight indeed between Dylan and the early stages, and for Fangio then at the end of the race as well. Then Favre in Fangio in P2, then Favre in P3, Ultimate Beast in P4. Great result from Ultimate Beast then. Great stuff indeed then. A lot of battling going on there for Ultimate Beast, and Sweet 100p in P5. Dylan in P6 after recovering from that spin as well. Nigel P7, Craig R in P8, then Mumford P9. Mr. Elite rounds off the top 10. R2 beat then in P11, Botstaff P12, then TK P13, good recovery, Kazi P14, Reflection P15, Vessia P16, Gordo P17, and unfortunately Virginia, Camaro, and Joseph, they all retired in the pit lane from this Grand Prix. Fantastic stuff indeed. I think we've got some of the interviewees here as well. Then I think we've got Farf. Then Farf, take us through that. What a fantastic race from your point of view.
Yarp.
Okay, and well done to you, Farf. Great race indeed. Are you looking forward to the similar sort of thing from Saudi Arabia? Are you going to be on the podium places?
Yarp.
Wonderful. Good stuff from Farf. Right then, we'll crack on to Fanjo then. Good stuff. Well on to Farf then. P3 in the Haas here tonight. Fanjo in the Williams P2. You had an epic battle then with the top 7 to be fair in the first stint then, and then it looked like after the stops had unfolded, you were just having a battle then with Mags then for the remainder of the Grand Prix on the hard compound tires. Then can you talk us through the battles that you were having in that Grand Prix?
Yeah, I kind of got a decent start. I think I got up to P3 in 2 laps or so, which I kind of needed to keep pace with the 2 lads. Because I know the Dylan and Mags were very quick or whatever. So I think Dylan was running a lot more front wing and rear wing than me, so I needed to kind of get ahead of him sometimes so he wouldn't get out of DRS. But no, I drove a decent race, and then Mags kind of pitted, so I pitted the lap after just to try and stick with his DRS then from then on, and we kind of cruised from there. But then Fartu kind of went hard soft, surprised us how quick he was catching us, and it was just a case of trying to keep him out of the DRS and then having a little battle on the last few laps.
Did you worry that Farf might be able to catch up to you guys and get in the battle for the race win, or did you have it under control?
Initially, no, we were like, oh, he's pitted now, he'd probably be 20 seconds behind. And then within like 5 laps, he was like 5 seconds behind with another 7 laps to go. We were like, oh my God, what's the story here? So we were really worried until I think 3 laps to go or 4 laps to go, we realised if we just played it right, he wouldn't be able to get in. So, but yeah, no, he was definitely a threat anyway.
And did you think you had the race win sorted, or were you still worried that Mags might be able to make the move on the last lap as well, which he did in the end?
Well, I knew I'd P2 at least, so it was just a case of trying to race fair and do my best. But in fairness to him, he drove really well, defended very well, and I almost got him there, I think, in the last sector. But in fairness to him, he kept his nerve, and great win, well deserved.
Congratulations there, Fanjo. Then P2 in the Williams tonight. Great stuff indeed then, and a good result indeed as well. We'll go on to Mags then. Another Grand Prix victory then. I think that was a very hard-fought Grand Prix victory compared to some of your other ones. But you had a fantastic qualifying as well, put it on pole position. Then did you have a struggle then on the medium compound tyres? It looked like you dropped quite far back then on the medium, well, not far back, but into around P5, P6 then on the medium compound tyres. Were they not the best tyre to start the race on, do you think?
No, definitely not. As Fanjo was saying, like we were all in the party together, me, him, and Dylan. I feel like just the heavy fuel with the mediums just wasn't working. I was losing traction within like 5 laps, and I couldn't get the power down at all. And I just knew that I wasn't going to keep up the pace. So if the people were quicker in front of me, I would just let them go, and not lose time to the pack. It's just I think it's stupid if people try and fight one position when you lose the DRS, and then you're losing 5 seconds over 10 laps or whatever. So I just stuck on the Emmons, and I was just counting down the laps until I got on the hards because I knew it was going to be a better stunt anyway.
And Fanjo mentioned it as well that you were in a two-way battle then at the in the second stint there, the final stint then on the hard compound tyres, and you saw Farf coming up behind you. Did you think was there anything in your mind that you thought Farf might be able to catch you both?
I was thinking at the speed he was coming, I thought he was going to catch, but I knew we were saying and the sauce were definitely going to die off at some stage. Like I wouldn't have used the softs around here. Maybe like he managed to get a podium out of it, which is well done. Like, but once we were just watching the Delta, and the Delta ended up sticking around like 1.8, 1.5, and it wasn't going down anymore. So we knew, and all we had to do was just keep eyes on the road, and me and Fans were on the party together anyway, and it got quiet near the end. Like, but I know he's a clean driver, and I would give him the respect. He would give me the respect. So I was able to harvest a wee bit more ERS behind him. And I had like 60 or something going under the last lap, so I knew I had to get him under the first turn then, and he gave me the respect, like so.
It was good battling between the both of you as well, and very fair indeed, especially for the race win. It's a lot at stake then, but you got yourself another top step at the podium. Once again, then the championship charge then is looking quite strong then for yourself. Are you taking it race by race, or are you keeping an eye on the points then between the other drivers as well?
Well, obviously it's super unlucky for Dylan tonight because he's top of the championship and he was in the party, but I don't know what happened. I think there was a mix-up between him and his teammate. He was on the mediums, his teammate was on the hards. I felt like if I was my teammate, I would have let him past, but I felt like obviously I should have won Zandvoort, but sorry for me to speed in the pit lane, and then I threw it away to one in Monza in the second last lap, so I wanted to come back and at least get a podium, so I'm happy with a one.
Good stuff indeed, and a great result once again then for Mags, then P1 here in Bahrain in the Ferrari. And that's all for silver then tonight. Then we've got, of course, the bronze version, bronze season 7 round 8 here tomorrow night in the Sakhir Desert once again then, before the 100% league, or the 100% realistic league, heads to Saudi Arabia then for the preview of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, which is coming up on Saturday as well. So plenty more action coming up on ALR. Stay tuned and we'll see you very soon.